There are very few times, sir, where I'm watching something on wrestling and it hits me so hard it feels cringy and I have a hard time watching.
That one was bad.
That was hard to watch. You know what I'm saying? It was so hard to watch. And you just see her, 1, 2, and then she pulls it and nobody moved. The only movement that happened after she did it was Nia looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, another week of wrestling down in the books, man. And let me tell you, it was an interesting week of wrestling. When I'm looking back over the card, there were some things that I got really excited about on Smackdown and Raw, particularly with regards to Seth Rollins and Cody. Obviously, that's the big thing for Crown Jewel. And definitely with another person that's in the bloodline that's not Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns is surrounding the situation. That's some really interesting stuff. And I have some definite thoughts about WWE's leaning into this seeming pivot that they're doing with Jay and why I like it a lot. But first and foremost, on this Good Friday, sir, how are you doing, Skeener?
Pretty good. Got some lovely fall weather here in Milwaukee, and our tribal chief has returned just in time to get his big Australian paycheck, so everything is right in the world.
Yeah, we got that good fall weather here in Virginia too, man. I walked my wife out to the car this morning when she was headed off to work, and it was a little chilly, and I was loving it. So
yeah, we're getting those chilly mornings, and I can't say I love that, but it's nice by the time I wake up and get myself out to the range to hit balls and teach. So
yeah, I'm sure that the mornings for you are not necessarily where you'd want to be golfing wise, but man, let me tell you something. When I get outside and it's like 5:30, it's perfect weather for a good run. Like, you know what I'm saying? Throw some sleeves on and just go for a good run. Anyway, guys, if you want to keep up with the Lariat Lounge, if you want to join us, if you want to check in on our Instagram, which apparently Instagram is now allowing us to do our daggone job and not getting in the way and helping us out by keeping our post up, Skeener will be letting you know right now how you can get in touch with us when our lines are not all nosed up by corporate red tape.
Yes, we are over. I promise we are over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. Finally had a nice discussion with Instagram support about how the last, 4 or 5 posts have been removed by their AI content moderation. I believe I know how to no longer post as if I am some spam script or whatever they think I am.
Mm-hmm.
But should be able to get around that now. So if you've been looking for us and haven't been there in like the first 5 minutes the posts are up, you may have not seen them because they keep getting taken down. But I believe that will be rectified. But yes, we are, I promise, over there and active at the Lariat Lounge Podcast on Instagram. You're always free to hit us up at the Lariat Lounge at gmail.com. And if you're here, you already know. Tell a friend, tell everyone, even if they're not your friends. Tell them we're coming at you once a week, every week, at least on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, we'll be there.
We will be there. And basically what Skeener was saying is that he has finally figured out how to not sound like a bot. And
apparently.
Because apparently
I didn't think I was.
Apparently you have a typing style that AI recognizes and recognizes as, familiar, family, something like that, and decided not to let you participate the way that you should be. But
yeah, they sniff out their own kind, I guess.
They smell their own kind.
Is what you're saying.
Yes. And now you've taken that little test where you have to click on the items that are the same or which items would belong in a house to let them know that you are indeed human. And now they will let us participate the way that we want to. So please hop onto the gram. Let us know what you're thinking. Next time a post goes up, hopefully you'll see it. But the main thing is that you're here and you're hanging out with us. We appreciate that to the utmost. So let's cut through the fluff and let's get to the stuff. So Skeener, looking at Raw, I'm scrolling through the card right now. And if I'm starting at the top of the card, right, there are a couple things that I want to touch on briefly. We can kind of like, we can kind of touch them in an appropriate manner with consent in, a very quick and easy manner. And then we can circle back around to like a couple things that really stood out to each of us. So first of all, let me just say this one thing. So when watching the Sami Zayn and Javon Evans match, right? First of all, that dude Javon Evans gets a ton of air. Like it's scary how high he gets on some of these like springboards off the ropes.
Bouncy, as some would say.
As some would say, the boy is bouncy. And so I checked that out, and that prompted me to actually go and watch what was it? NXT? Was it No Mercy? I think it was No Mercy that just they just recently aired. So I went and watched that. Dude, phenomenal card. That was a phenomenal card. I think I watched almost every match fully through, and I was thoroughly impressed by Sol Ruka, and I was thoroughly impressed by Lola Vice. Now, obviously, I'm not mentioning certain people because, I mean, listen, Obafemi, obviously, come on. But yes, Lola Vice, I legit thought that Lola Vice probably should have won the NXT Women's Championship there. I felt like they were in her hometown. They were in her backyard of Miami, and the crowd there was heavy for her. And I thought that it was the perfect time. Now, you know how WWE likes to do, though, right? It's like, you're in your hometown. Well, obviously you're not winning. But all that being said, I thought that the NXT card was really great. And I'll tell you this. There was something about watching NXT that made me wish in some ways that WWE's main roster handled their talent in some ways that they do on NXT. Not that they handled them bad on the main roster, but on NXT, there's obviously this homegrown kind of organic feel more so to the product. And you have characters that are obviously not main roster yet. So they have their own storylines, and they can flesh these things out in a way that you just don't really get the time to do on the main roster show. And I don't know, man, I just enjoyed it. And I hadn't watched NXT in a long time. But did you catch any of No Mercy?
No, I didn't. I kind of, tangentially, that's not the right word, kind of peripherally keep up with NXT, but it's rare I'll sit down and watch.
Same.
And I probably should, because there's great stuff, but it's just, there's so much other content you've got to consume to stay up with things that kind of falls by the wayside a lot.
I agree. And normally I don't catch it either, if I'm being completely honest. Like I typically am not watching NXT, but something made me want to watch and just kind of see because I think Smackdown happened actually after No Mercy. And so they were referencing certain things. And I was like, oh, well, let me go and, see what they're referencing. Or maybe Smackdown happened right before. I can't remember, but they were referencing something. And I went and checked. No, Smackdown happened before. And then they were referencing what Javon Evans was going to be doing on No Mercy. And so by the time I watched Smackdown, No Mercy had already happened. So then I went back and I checked it out. But that was just a little tangent that I went on right there.
No Mercy was last Saturday.
Okay, that was right. So SmackDown happened, and then No Mercy happened on Saturday. So
correct.
Yeah, so after I watched SmackDown, I was like, oh, okay, No Mercy happened, and then I went back and I looked at it, and I watched a decent portion of the show. But back to the show that's part of this show. So Cody Rhodes opened up with his promo where he was talking with Paul Heyman, and Cody seems to reference quite a bit about who seems to be running the division. And when you look at what he did in his promo with Seth, which I think that was either on Raw. I think it was on Raw because I don't think he had a promo with Seth that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, he talked to Seth on Monday, and he seems to be dropping some hints at this idea that maybe Seth is not actually the person that's calling the shots in the Vision. And are you sure you're the person who everything goes through? And I found that interesting because that's not something that I was really considering. But in light of the fact that Brock showed up at, SummerSlam, that he then followed that with his appearance at WrestlePalooza, he followed that with what he said to Heyman. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, that's an interesting wrinkle to this whole story, because what Seth was doing promo-wise with Cody was far and away excellent and enough to sell me on watching Crown Jewel and that match, because they've been selling that masterfully. But that little angle, bro, I was not really expecting that. And when they kind of laid that in there just a little thicker than they had in the promo between Rhodes and Heyman, I was kind of like, what are we doing here? I don't know. What were your thoughts, man, when that little tidbit was dropped on Friday and then followed up with on Monday, but then and on a broader scale, what were your thoughts on the promos on Friday and Monday between Heyman and Rhodes, and then Rhodes and Rollins?
I think this whole thing has just been great. They've done a good job taking it beyond, just the champion versus champion, and played on the wealth of history they have here. But yeah, every time I think 2 times we've gotten Cody and Seth face to face has just been pure magic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great sports entertainment. It's just good. And like you said, I think we were both talking about, like, yeah, they're going to use this Brock thing, the thing being Heyman, coming to announce him to the ring. They're going to use that in the vision. But I think I definitely thought it would be Seth coming to question Paul.
Yeah.
And doing it like internally, but someone else using it, that seems perfect too. Like, especially Cody to point that out. And just the change in Seth we saw, especially like before the Vision goes out for the main event, where he's just all consumed by, I've got to beat him.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be fun. And we've got like one more week to see how he goes, and it'll be interesting to see. And I'm excited. Obviously, it's going to be a great match with these two, but just for the future and coming out of that, what a loss would do to Seth, or what a win would mean for Seth.
Yeah.
Not to jump ahead too much, I think the loss would be more interesting given this picture they've painted that it's going to destroy him mentally if he loses. But yeah, we've gotten great stuff between them. I love them keeping Becky involved with it as she, stands by her husband and just checking on him. Are you okay? And as Seth gets more and more consumed by this, but I've loved every bit of this. And yeah, you're right. The introduction to this new angle of making Seth question whether it's him or whether Heyman's in charge. Well, and not to skip over the Smackdown part, but yeah, that was great between Seth and Paul. And when the moment where or not Seth and Paul, Cody and Paul, when Cody goes through all his titles and asks who you're speaking to, and Paul says you're talking to the GOAT. I love that.
Yeah. No, and listen, no, we're right there, dude, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how does the story benefit the most from a Cody win versus a Rollins win, right? And I'm just thinking, when I'm thinking about the match results at Crown Jewel from the perspective of a Cody win, it's interesting because I don't see any benefit for Cody winning. For Cody, like Rollins taking a loss to Cody, what does it do for Cody? Everything right now seems to be centered in this storyline around Seth, which I think is the right place for it to be. Because, for better or worse, Cody has kind of had a touch and go little stint recently with regards to his involvement and his necessity in his own storylines. You know what I mean? Like, he was, before before he was dealing with Drew, he was on the tail end of Cena's storyline. Yes, he was there. Yes, he was competing for the championship, and yes, he won. But the center of focus was really around Cena. Then going into the situation with Drew, yeah, this was supposed to be co-equal between Drew and Cody, but then Cody had to go away to film Street Fighter. And so it really then more so centered around Drew carrying that feud, which only lasted through one match because now he's, past that, and now he's on to this much bigger story with much more tension between himself and Rollins going into Crown Jewel. And again, this story has Cody in it, which I think kind of is part and parcel, par for the course when it comes to you being a white meat babyface. Like, unless the story is really centered around some change within you, you are the universal constant in this story. And so it makes sense for it to revolve more around Seth's evolution and his sentiments and feelings around this thing. And I think it should be centered there because Seth is doing a great job. But for Seth, I originally thought Seth has to win this match because in order for his vision to really be taken seriously, he needs to win here. But then when he started leaning so much into this idea of like, I have to beat him because there's this sentiment of the fans choosing him, the company choosing him. And there's a real personal through line in this, right? Where the facade of the visionary and the structure that he's built around the vision and this idea that, yes, in fact, he is the world heavyweight champion, but he still has this massive, colossal chip on his shoulder. And it's not going to go away until he exercises his demon, which is beating Cody, right? And I just loved in that promo where on Monday, where Cody does, he does the Cody, where he gets in the ring and he's like, you were my shield at Wrestle. Yeah, you know how he does the white meat babyface stuff. And Seth is like, shut up, just shut up. And he's like, you were a means to an end. You were the lesser of two evils. And, the focus for me right now is beating you at Crown Jewel because you cannot be the guy that WWE relies on because I'm that guy. And if no one else knows it, I'm going to prove it and I'm going to make you believe it at Crown Jewel. But in the actuality, dude, he's trying to convince himself. He needs to win this to convince himself that he is who he says he is. And it's just such an interesting wrinkle when you throw in this idea that, dude, you may not even be the leader of the faction like you think you are. Because we were talking about last week how it was interesting in that promo backstage with Becky when it kind of looked like, is Becky the impetus behind Seth's own thoughts, his own persona? Because she was definitely positioned behind him like that devil on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sowing these seeds of doubt for this Seth Rollins character who is so right now obsessed with his control over everything and the control of the future of sports entertainment is just, it's a great way for them to go with the character because this has been so long-term and built up, and it all goes back to his, we're still eating off the bloodline, essentially, because he's, his whole reason or, stated in his mind for creating the vision is so that that WWE's future doesn't fall into the bloodline or a bloodline type faction, and that so that he can control it. So chipping away at his perceived stranglehold on the situation through all these angles has just been really good and really rewarding for people that want to pay attention and dive that deep.
Oh, agreed. I 1000% agree. And I definitely think that if you are somebody who is paying very close attention to this, the way I would assume most people are, if you are tuned into this podcast, this is just great storytelling, like this is just very peak WWE storytelling. And it's so woven into so many aspects of not just this story, but every story that also touches it by proxy is roped into this, right? Because I'm thinking about what's going on with Jay, right? And we can jump around this ship because there's definitely a lot to talk about here. Not just with Jay, but just with both the cards, because we definitely got some referees to discuss this week. But to touch on Jay, right? I'm just gonna pull back the curtain here and not bury the lead. But your tribal chief has returned, and I think this might be his fifth return this year, possibly. I don't know, 6 or 7. I don't know. He returns all the time. But
I believe it's his third, but
okay.
Point taken.
He returns a lot. But he returned again to even the odds and to help out Jimmy and to help out Jay in their match against Bron. And he's going to town with that chair, and he helps to save the day. So then he helps Jay up off the mat. But noticeably, Roman does not help Jimmy. And there is a conversation that is happening in the ring between Roman and Jay. And Roman is really bigging up Jay and just letting him know, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. No mercy, no remorse in your actions. This is how you handle things. You get it done. And Jay is 1000% buying into all of this. And he is just in lockstep. And shout out to WWE. Ever since they went to Netflix, we've all noticed their camera work and just how they position people in certain spots and backstage segments.
You're stealing what I was going to say. But go ahead.
No, well, I will turn it over to you, right? I mean, just the positioning.
No, go ahead. I mean, yeah. But yeah, the way they shot that and putting Jimmy in the background. But go ahead.
Well, I mean,
it's just funny. That's exactly what I was going to say, too.
We're in lockstep as we usually are. Like, just the way they had him positioned was just, it was great. And the look on his face, man. I mean, How much does this add to the story of Jay's slow descent into the dark Roman side of the Force? Because he's definitely headed there. And we hinted at this idea at one point that Roman, being all on his lonesome, right? All on his own, that he was going to eventually turn over a leaf. That he was trying to, maybe he was understanding some of the what's the word? The error of his ways. But that does not seem to be the case whatsoever, because Roman seems to be influencing Jay. Now, whether he's doing it intentionally, I have no idea. But what I do know is that what we saw on screen over the weeks of Jay and Jimmy's interaction have had at least one instant every show where it's like Jay completely lashes out and then he reels it back, right? And in this episode in the ring, we saw what we saw. Skeener, what are we watching right now, dude?
I mean, it's what you said. It's just the continuance of that thread that we loved when they initially dropped it, when Jimmy told Jay, you're sounding like Roman, or you're acting like Roman. I forget exactly which it was, but we loved that, and it hit with us, and I think it hit with a lot of people, and now they're just playing that up, and like everything you said, they did a wonderful job making sure that part of this was front and center, where Jimmy is seeing his prediction and his worry play out before his eyes as the tribal chief congratulates and encourages and cajoles or whatever. But that interaction with his former right-hand man just seals it. And I love it. I'm glad they haven't just thrown away all threads of the bloodline just because it's quote unquote over in its main form. There was so much depth and, like the word we love to use, equity built in a ton of characters with that storyline that we can still feed off that and play off that for years to come. And I'm glad that's what they're doing here, because this just still, it's giving Jay as a top talent and a top character all these extra dimensions in his character that we can play off of in the future. It's not just I'm the guy that yeets and that's what it was for a while and it worked, but to stay at that level and continue to be involved in different stories and tell things in different ways, he needed, like you like to say, these angles.
Yeah.
And now we're getting some.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, and I love the fact that this appears to be very intentional. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't wait until the yeets start to dry up. You know, like, don't wait until until what Jay is beloved for becomes the thing that the fans eventually turn on, because they do. The fans always do. They will eventually turn on it, or they will sour on it to the point where it's not his thing anymore and he's going to have to pivot anyway into something new. But the fact that they're leaning more into the story here, which it didn't appear they were doing at first when Jay was really hitting his solo stride, right? He was getting over with the yeet chants and his entrance, and then that's when, WWE Unreal came into the picture and let us, see how, Triple H came to Jay and was like, yo, we want to strap the rocket on you. You're doing good work, blah, 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 right? But now you're also not just leaning into the entrance, but you're leaning into all of the story that you've invested in for the better part of 5 years now, right? With the Bloodline run and then the post-Bloodline run, right? And you're leaning into this idea that was played out mainly by design, but some of this was by chance. Because Jay being as big as he became and then winning the world championship, I believe that was part of the plan. I also think it was the fans getting behind Jay, but also they're playing off of, as well, Skeener, they're playing off of that contingent of doubt, that contingent of haters that were there when Jay was on his ascent to the World Heavyweight Championship, right? That group of people that was kind of like, you're going to put the championship on this guy, the guy who just yeets, the guy who is kind of blown up by the time the match starts. You know what I mean? And it lent to the idea that Jay and the company leaned into right before his match with Gunther, where he was really starting to doubt himself. You know what I mean? Like, does he really belong here? And he wins the title, and he has a decent title reign, but he doesn't hold it very, very long. And then he loses it. And Jay, rightfully so, should be someone who you're portraying now as he got to taste what was at the top. And now he is consumed with it. He's consumed with getting back to the top, as any champion should. He's consumed with getting back to the top. But he is, and for lack of a better way to say this, because I'm not trying to characterize the other people around him like this, but this is how Jay has characterized his own brother now. He's surrounded by people who are friends to him who have never sniffed that rarefied air, right? You wouldn't know what it's like, Jimmy, to be there. And so you have Jay in this place where it's like, I'm surrounded by people who don't get it, right? But the people who do get it, who have been there, are also now playing devil and angel on his shoulder. Because last week we got Cody coming to Jay, as a friend, as a bro. You good, man? But then you got on his other shoulder his cousin Roman, which is like, smash them all. Don't take no for an answer. And you see the Roman winning out here. And this has been, in my opinion, the most entertaining thing to watch. It's contested very heavily by Seth and Cody, because their ability to just tell stories amongst each other is world class. And when you see those two interacting, it's easy to see why Seth Rollins on any given day can be the absolute best professional wrestler all around on the planet. He can just go in the ring. He can absolutely go on the microphone, right? He can work a silly angle with CM Punk and AJ Lee, who we have not seen since WrestlePalooza, weirdly, and with his wife.
We will see Punk next week.
Yes, we finally are going to see Punk after WrestlePalooza. Listen, I don't understand why WWE does this. We'll get to that. But, you know, he can do all of these things in a semi-goofy, kind of campy manner, right? And then a week later, he can turn this on with Cody and just be the most convincingly brooding heel who has a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas that he needs to get rid of. And for as much as I like Cody, I think Cody does, and this is not a discredit to him, I truly mean this, but Cody does Cody really well. And he is becoming a master at one trick. And as long as you can land it, and as long as the crowd is with it, right, you can get over with that. And look, Cena has shown through this retirement tour and over the years that you can play that one note, and that can be the thing that you hang your hat on for a long time, right? And when you need to turn it on, you can turn it on, and you can do some different things, and you can show some angles and some edge. And when you have it, when you have the ability to do that, then you can lean more into specific niches, right? Because you're not hamstrung to that. You're just doing it because that's the role that you're playing. And I think that's where Cody is. That's why I'm saying it's not a diss, but Cody is in his white meat baby face bag right now. So he's going to show up to these feuds and he's going to beat Cody the way Cena showed up to his feuds and he was being Cena. And it gives the people who he's competing against the ability to kind of be flexible and to do a little bit more. And when you have a dance partner like Seth Rollins, dude, every time they interact with each other, it is magic. It is legitimate magic. And I don't know, it never would have struck me before Cody came back that Seth Rollins and his career, when I look back on it, it will be significantly defined by his feud with Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, just like at all times in the recent past, it seems just like everything at the top of the card or the focuses of the show, these main stories are just so very well taken care of and so very well performed by some of the best professional wrestlers in the world. And like we say all the time, it's just it's a great treat to watch. And I'm just enjoying all of it. Everything you just talked about.
Yeah, and dude, and that's the thing, right? And it's great when you get this because it does a really good job of making you a bit satiated when you go through the rest of the card. Because like I'm scrolling down and you see something that good, and then you come across other things that just are not. I'm not saying everything has to be on that same level, right? But when I was telling you about watching NXT, No Mercy, and granted, I'm giving this with the caveat that there's a large pinch of salt on this because I was watching a PLE and not watching the week show. So let me preface with that now. Every one of those matches, even the matches that weren't like the marquee matches, seemed like they just had way more investment from the fans. And I grant that it's a smaller local crowd. And it seemed like it had more investment from the announcers. You know what I'm saying? Vic Joseph and Booker T. They just seemed way more invested in these matches than when you have Michael Cole and who is he with on Raw? Right now, it has been Wade Barrett.
Man, why? When I try to think about who the commentators are,
I think he's been with Wade recently.
Is Joe gone right now?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, because
Joe Tessitore. Wait, what show is he on though? Is he on Raw?
Yeah, he has been, right?
So Michael Cole's on SmackDown?
I believe so.
Okay, so maybe I'm just getting it mixed up, but that makes more sense. because Michael Cole didn't seem very interested or invested in Julia and Kiana James versus like B-Fab and Meechin, right? And granted, we're talking about B-Fab and Meechin. And I'm sorry, ladies, I ain't trying to be rude and I'm not even going to go there because honestly, I have more criticism for Julia, honestly. Like, I don't know, man. And maybe you can help me. I don't get
They
it.
haven't done anything. They haven't done anything with her. She won the title, and now she just does this thing. And I'm glad they're trying to do something with B-Fab because I think there's something there. There's a personality, there's a charisma. But you know where there's not for me? And it's Michin.
Okay.
I cannot. It just doesn't do it for me. And judging by the things I hear from the crowd or lack thereof, she doesn't do it for a lot of people. And again, they just haven't. It's like very little has been done with any of these characters. And I don't know if it's because they don't have ideas or they're waiting on something. But again, like to use the term that I used a little for WrestlePalooza, if you don't bring your own investment, these are going to be, less than interesting segments on the show.
Yeah. Look, I think this is my honest take here, right? Who's not doing it for me is Julia. She's the marquee person of this, and I don't know, dude. I don't get it. I don't get Julia. I don't get what the appeal is.
There hasn't been anything to get right now. That's the problem. They're kind of.
But what is?
But
it
you're
about
right.
Her?
She's
is she
not
supposed to be some stellar
jumping off
wrestler?
the screen.
Like, I get she's technically sound. She looks technically sound in the ring. Don't get me wrong, right? She can wrestle. The girl can really wrestle. But like, I don't get it. I don't get when Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, when their names first came across my radar, they came across in tandem, right? That, oh my gosh, OMG, WWE is courting Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. And I didn't know who either one of them were, right? But when I saw Julia, the first time I saw her, it was in NXT. And I didn't know much about it. I wasn't really watching NXT, but I was like, okay, so this is Julia. Okay, got it. And I watched a match of hers and I was like, okay, she's new and I haven't been watching the product. So, far be it from me to pass any type of judgment, you know what I'm saying? Whatsoever. And it was the same with Stephanie Vaquer, being totally honest. Obviously, the Devil's Kiss keeps a little bit more attention, but that has nothing to do with how good she is in the ring. That's just fan service. But when they got to the main roster, I initially thought with both of them, if I'm being honest, I thought they were called up too quickly. I thought they were called up a little too quickly, not because they couldn't hack it on the big stage, but I just thought that sometimes NXT gives you the opportunity to develop a little bit more. And sometimes I feel like they keep some people in NXT too long. And it's weird how they decide that. But it seemed like for Julia and Stephanie, like, no, they're coming up to the main roster ASAP. And for Stephanie's credit, she's fit right in, right? She fit in people's hearts, in people's minds, in multiple places in people's minds. But she also wrestles her ass off, no pun intended. Like that one time, I think she wrestled like 4 times in a week. Like those type of things just endear people to you. You know what I mean? And not that Julia doesn't wrestle like that, but I ain't heard about it. And I don't know. I just don't get the appeal of Julia. It doesn't kind of land with me. And I don't know what you do with her once she loses the United States Championship. Because she's eventually going to lose it. And she's going to lose it to someone who, honestly, people are probably not checking a whole lot for. If they're tied up in this feud right now with Meechin and B-Fab, it's going to be one of them. And, for Julia to drop the belt to one of them, I don't know. She's probably not going to drop it to one of them. But where do you go with her? I mean, the WWE Women's Championship scene is what is tied to Smackdown. And Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax and Jade Cargill, listen, who else is in that scene right now? Because watching that triple threat match.
Nobody.
Right.
And that's the issue. It's it's been those 3 with a little development since WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did Tiffany even have a rematch with Charlotte? I don't think so.
I don't think she did.
So it's just been
They've moved Charlotte away from that. And honestly, good on them. Like, good on them. Move her away into something that is more interesting, because this triple threat match did not have a lot of hype going into it. Like, we've said our piece about Tiffany Stratton's title run before. So it's no secret to anybody who's listening to the podcast today, if this is your first time, then, welcome. And also, Skeena and I have had opinions about Tiffany Stratton's title run and the efficacy of it, how effective it's been. And it's I don't know, it's middling. It's middling as far as like just how much it draws your attention, how much the matches seem to really matter for anything. And no disrespect to Tiffany Stratton and her ability, because she's grade A in the ring. But something is just lacking in these feuds that she's in. And I kind of feel, Skeena, like every time they start to maybe build something that you could possibly sink your teeth into, right? You get something like this match. So there's two things in this match that I think everybody who watches this match is very clearly aware of. And one of these things, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, from the depths of my soul. I'm not entirely sure if at some point WWE needs to sit down with one Nia Jax and assess how she performs in the ring. Because, dude, sometimes the way you do things in the ring, the way you handle things, and more specifically in this instance, the way you handle spots with other performers. Like, dude, you can't keep injuring people. You can't keep injuring folks. I'm sorry. Like, you can't keep doing that. But if you watch that segment, that portion of the match where Jade goes to do the Samoan drop on the outside of the ring and Nia wiggles free, right? And then she just shoves Jade head first into like the corner of the steps. Now, this is a spot that happens all the time. It's not that they were doing something stupid. The problem was the execution of it. The way Nia leans into the throw totally uses her body weight and takes Jade completely off her center of balance. And so she's leaning way too far in front of her knees and her feet. Her momentum is just going forward too quickly. And so when Nia throws her into the steps, she just has no way of really catching herself and just goes headfirst into the corner of these steps. Now, good on her for utilizing that moment after she does the Samoan drop on the stairs to kind of get in the camera and play it up, right? Try to have your Becky Lynch moment. But at the same time, Skeena, it should have never have happened. You know what I mean?
Same ballet, kid. I didn't think that. Like, granted, I didn't go in and like rewatch it and analyze it that much, but I don't know. I don't think there's been a couple times that I think Nia has unintentionally, I will say, hurt people through execution. I didn't think this was one of them. I think this is just something that went wrong. I mean, I can't. Never wrestled, never been in that situation, don't know who is at fault or in control there. But it, through a stroke of good and bad fortune, like added something to the match. And good on Jade for powering through that, because that was a pretty brutal looking cut.
Yeah.
When I was watching the rest of the match after that, it was very apropos that a few days before that we sent our shots out to referees and officials, and boy did it happen again.
Did it?
And yeah, I don't know. But these in the words of Ted DiBiase, these referees are trying to fuck on everyone.
Skeena, dude.
Like, what is going on?
That right there, the whole pinning sequence with the ref, there are very few times, sir, where I'm watching something on wrestling and it hits me so hard it feels cringy and I have a hard time watching.
That one was bad.
It was hard to watch. You know what I'm saying? It was so hard to watch. And you just see her 1, 2, and then she pulls it and nobody moved. The only movement that
just
happened after she
nobody
did
moving.
it was Nia looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? But at the same time, Nia was
So I don't know.
out.
Have you, and this may derail things for a bit, but we're never above that. Have you listened to a few of the podcasts? We talk about Chris Van Vliet's show glowingly a lot, but he's had Mike Chioda and Charles Robinson, I think, on recently. Have you listened to either of those?
No.
So they're talking about, and if anyone doesn't want some of the magic exposed, I doubt if you're here you care, but just fast forward ahead a little bit. But they were talking about how when they're refereeing and they're counting, they were talking to the wrestlers. Like if it was going to be a kick out, they were saying kick, kick, kick. And that obviously isn't happening there. So, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe we need to get some of the vets to come in and talk to these young referees. Because I feel like, and I get it, because it's so much more, there's so many more microphones now, and cameras are so much closer, that maybe they're worried if that stuff gets picked up a little bit. But I'd rather that get picked up once than something as ugly as what happened.
Yes.
With the botched finish of this match
That was god awful, dude.
But you're right. Yeah, you're just like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Because these three ladies were working their butts off, had a great match, crowd was really into it, and that just kind of spoils it. Like,
yeah. Well, and then
you'd like to think one moment can't spoil all their 20 minutes of hard work, but boy, it can. Yeah,
it can. And remember, that division, and specifically the WWE Women's Championship scene, right, is fighting an uphill battle already. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill has not been the hottest thing. And so, you're trying to up the ante with this triple threat match, and then you get something like this. And you're not going to hide it from the fans. It was way too obvious. You know what I mean? It was just way too obvious for that to happen. And mind you, so I didn't watch the Chris Van Vliet interviews with the refs, right? But what I did watch was a number of different channels that were breaking the match down, right? And these are channels that are run by former wrestlers, right? So they're kind of walking you through the match and step by step what they believe was happening at certain points with the ref, what the ref was probably calling in the ring, what was probably supposed to be happening, you know what I'm saying, at certain points. And one of the things they pointed out was when Jade did her, I guess her alternate finisher onto Nia, that spot was supposed to be broken up by Tiffany coming in with the drop kick. But Tiffany appeared to be out of position. And Tiffany came in to do that drop kick too late. And so when Jade was pinning Tiffany, she got to the 2 and Nia had to kick out because Tiffany didn't get there. Because as soon as she does the kick out, then Tiffany comes in and still drop kicks Jade off of her, right? So she's coming to the spot, but she's not going to get there in time. So Nia kicks out. From what they're saying, and they would know more about this because they've spent many years in the ring doing this, so they understand the psychology, they understand how matches break down and what the ref's role is in these situations, which is why they had a lot to say about the ref, right? So they're saying in this spot, Jade gets taken out of the match, right? And Tiffany goes in to make the pin. At this point, Nia is probably supposed to kick out here. And maybe there was some confusion because Nia didn't kick out. And they say that, like, when they were breaking down the footage, that you can see the ref saying something to Nia about she needs to kick out. And Nia doesn't kick out, right? Now, part of this may be Nia is just confused. There's probably a lot of moving parts that's happening. And Nia kicked out. Maybe she's going by spots, right? And that, okay, I was pinned, I kicked out, the next pin is supposed to be the finish, right? So maybe she's doing that. And Tiffany's pinning her, and she doesn't kick out in time. But I thought that the way this was supposed to go down was that if someone misses their spot and they don't kick out in time, you count the three. You count the three, you call the match. Now, that's one thing, right? And it would be a really big thing if, let's say, Jade was pinning Nia and Nia didn't kick out. Then you got a whole thing where you got to put the title on Jade and you got to spin the story from there, right? But in this instant, Tiffany was already pinning Nia. Like, if we miss the spot and Nia does not kick out, ref, the finish is still protected. If you call the match the way that it's played out and you don't allude to the fact that you missed anything, we as the fans would have never known the match wasn't supposed to go this way. You know what I'm saying? I certainly wouldn't. But it was very glaringly clear that the match was not supposed to go that way when you pulled the 3 count and nobody kicked out. That was nuts. And then on top of that, you see the ref then get up looking panicked, run around the backside of them and go and just straight up talk to Tiffany. And it's like, do the moonsault, get the pin.
Yeah, everything fell apart after that. I will say, as much as we've been crapping on referees, and I have for sure, it's probably relatively impossible to, if you're planning to not count the 3, to react and count the 3. Like, I do feel like asking them to always be like counting for real, you'd probably count so many near falls accidentally, you'd slap your hand. It's just hard to do that. I just think, I mean, and maybe no one's at fault and something just, it's one of those stuff happens moments, but it was ugly. It was bad. I think no one is of the persuasion that it wasn't ugly or bad, but hopefully, I don't know, some people learn and get better from that.
Yeah. Let's hope let's hope we can file that one under lessons learned. Yeah. And, and move forward. And I hope that referee takes that in stride and learns from it. But I am someone who feels like you should get what you earned. I think that if you do something great, you should get all the praise. And it doesn't mean that, we give you praise now and that you're always going to get that praise, but you earned it. And in this instant, however, I think that the criticism is earned. The criticism is earned. Like, you have to do a better job than that. You are a pro wrestling referee in the biggest wrestling promotion in the world. Like, you don't get here just because you got hired off the street yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you're a ref or a performer. And so you're expected to perform on a high level, you know what I'm saying, when you're here. And it's not like we haven't seen mistakes happen, but I don't remember one that was so glaring. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember one that was so glaring and so glaringly obvious that not only have we missed a spot, but we're actively out of control. And
it's been a while since we've seen something that bad. I mean, that match was not, through most of it was, but at the end was not a great day at the old office for a lot of people.
No, absolutely.
And look, it happens, and hopefully that's the big oops of everyone's involved's career, and they get better, and that never happens again. But yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, look, you got to think that the people in the back in Gorilla are like, this is twice in 4 days that we've had some referee stuff that just kind of, taking attention in a way that it shouldn't.
But man, the J one looks so much less bad.
Oh my, by comparison? Woo. Hey, dude, like, I almost forgot I almost forgot that happened. When I know
that was just like a momentary lapse.
Yeah. That was crazy. But listen, hopefully it's lessons learned. You know what I'm saying? People can, can grow from this. But like you said, this was not the best day at the office for the refs. You know who else did not have a great day at the office on Raw? Who? Rusev's balls. Because Dom, listen, say what you want about Dom, but I think Dom is playing a great Eddie Guerrero
Mm-hmm.
impersonation. And it just works. It fits. And he does it in a way that I think is almost slimier than Eddie, because Eddie, look, Dom can go. Dom can wrestle. Eddie was just on a different level. He was in a different caliber and a different class of wrestlers, right? So when Eddie did that stuff, it was just pure fun. You know what I'm saying? It was pure fun because Eddie could out wrestle you. He just chose to do that, right? For Dom and his character, he's not going to out wrestle Rusev. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to out wrestle Rusev. And so it fits his character almost more than it does Eddie's character, because Dom absolutely needs to cheat and lie and steal to win, because he's not going to beat half the people he's in the ring with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm liking this more than I initially thought, and credit to everyone involved. I just very vocally was not sold on Rusev, but yeah, this match was really fun and really entertaining, and like you alluded to, just great finish. Really, really great finish.
Absolutely. And listen, Dom being that double champ, you know, he with the AAA Mega Champion and the Intercontinental Champion, at some point he's going to drop that IC belt. Does he drop it to Rusev? It's possible. I heard something. I heard somebody position the idea, which I know you're not going to be happy about, but the idea that you drop the IC belt to Rusev. He's still the AAA Mega Champion. Rusev is the IC champ, and then you go into a program with Rusev and a returning Sheamus. So Sheamus can win the championship that he's never won before he retires.
Why are we retiring Sheamus? Let's let the man keep going if he wants to.
Hey, listen, this is just what the idea was, right? And not saying that he would get it and then retire next year. But
sounds like that disrespectful idea is suggesting that.
Hey, listen, there is a wave. There is a wave that seems to be happening amongst that era of wrestlers. Cena's done at the end of this year. Styles has said he's going out next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. It's very, very possible. But not saying I'm wishing that. I'm just saying that at some point in the future, Sheamus will retire, obviously. And he has not won that championship. So, you know, set up a scenario where Rusev beats Dom. Dom really doesn't lose much because he's still the AAA Mega Champion. And Rusev has something that Sheamus now wants. And then we can go back into a best of 7 series with Rusev and Sheamus that you'll love. I know you're going to love it. And, you know, once we see match 7, we'll know that Sheamus has finally accomplished his Grand Slam, you know, and he can ride out in the sunset whenever he chooses to do so, you know, the way he wants to. So, you know, I thought that
Sheamus loves a good best of 47.
I swear that dude loves like series. Like, he can't do anything quick. He can't do anything quick. So I think I was thinking about something, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. This is going to be a quicker episode than normal, but I wanted to get your thoughts on something. So Brock Lesnar sticking around, possibly. We've seen him at least one time since WrestlePalooza, and it was that backstage segment where he, you know, spoke to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he sticks around, and let's say you're setting up something for Brock to have a match on a big stage like Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. One, I'm not sure if he has done a program with Seth. Has he ever done a program against Seth? Like straight up?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't remember.
At least one. You don't remember the Beast Slayer at one of the WrestleManias?
The Beast Slayer. Maybe I don't.
Yeah,
I remember
was
King
that
Slayer.
30? Was that 35? I believe.
I don't doubt.
Did they open the show at 35?
I don't doubt you. I remember King Slayer. I don't remember Beast Slayer, but that's certainly.
I believe he then called himself, because a couple years before was the King Slayer, and then he was the Beast Slayer. Yes, they opened the show at WrestleMania 35.
Okay. So all right. So that's perfect. So they've already worked a program.
Yes, they have history. And yeah, I kind of brought that up a couple weeks ago when I said now we could do this kind of from a different angle because that was peak Brock and Heyman and just pure babyface Seth. And now everyone, all three of those pieces have so many more, as you like to say, so many more angles that can rub up against each other.
Yeah. So if Brock sticks around, who, in your opinion, would be the ideal person for Brock to go head to head against? Because I have an idea, at least I have an idea that I would like to see, and it's probably an obvious one, but it's the one that I'm really interested in.
So Seth is good. I think everyone wants what we talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago, and the Braun Breaker match and things you could do there. But I mean, there's plenty of good options. It's kind of like he's been away or here sparingly long enough that there's a kind of a new crop of people for him to work with. And even if it's people he's been involved with before, they are different characters.
Sure.
But I mean, at the top of the list for me is Seth and Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I think for me, it's absolutely Braun Breaker. Like that to me is without question. It's just a matter of how you get there because we're certainly not at the position, I think, yet where the vision begins to implode. But I also don't think that Brock is aligning himself with the vision at all. He may be aligning himself with Heyman, and Heyman could potentially part ways with the vision. But if Heyman gets back with Lesnar, I mean, that just opens up the door for a lot of things because Lesnar is better with Heyman. I just don't necessarily see, I don't know why we would do that because I think he works well with this faction. I don't know. It's something interesting to think about, but you know, I'm not exactly sure, if I'm being honest, how you slot Lesnar into anything because it's hard for me to even envision how often he's even going to be here. Because the idea is that you know what I'm saying? Like the idea is that he's going to be here, but that has not been confirmed. You know, that hasn't been confirmed anywhere that Lesnar is going to be sticking around to do a whole lot of anything. He may pop back up at some point again, and that will further this thing with him and Heyman. But it may not be until next year. It may not be until right before Royal Rumble. Listen, they're going back to Saudi, so it would make a lot of sense for him to pop up around that time to go to Royal Rumble and get a fat Saudi check. So, it's very possible that he may show up then. I don't know, man. I don't know. So let me ask you this. I'll give this to you, and then we'll start to wind this down. So where do you think the tribal chief goes in this whole thing with Jay and his kind of, I want to call it like his ascension into the next tribal chief? Not that I think he should do the tribal chief thing, but that's definitely kind of the air that it gives. This idea that you were always supposed to be the next guy, the next up. And now you're finally starting to get who you need to be. You know what I'm saying? To be the tribal chief. Roman is going to be around this thing, but currently, unless, well, I guess they would split off from one another. Because I was saying right now, Rollins and Cody are doing their thing, but that's only because of Crown Jewel. They're both champions, so you wouldn't rope both top tier championships into a storyline that is amongst the two of them. So they'll split off, I'm assuming, after Crown Jewel. Do you think we possibly go into a program with Roman and Seth? Or does Roman go somewhere else? And if so, where would he even go?
I think that's where it's interesting right now, is there's no defined path.
Yeah.
He's probably getting his lick back on Bronson and Braun because he got taken down pretty hard. I know he came out and, cleaned house with a chair and got some shots back, but you think he's going to have one more with Bronson, right? Because put him out of action. I don't think you just come back and do a run in and consider shop closed there. But there is openness. Where do I think? I couldn't give you an honest prediction.
Yeah.
Because it's just so open. What do I want? And this may be a pipe dream because I don't know if Roman's going to show up every week, but like kind of an advisor and over the shoulder big brother, big oos role where he, advises Jay. I think would be so fun for a bit to, hey, this is how you got to take care of business if you're going to be the guy. You've got to do this. You've got to tell people this. Just kind of, you see grooming him to be a tribal chief. Yeah. Not the next tribal chief because he's still the OTC one.
Right.
But I mean, I think from there's so many things because one, it gets Roman back on the screen. It gets Roman back interacting with Jay, which has always been great. It plays off the Jimmy angle, and then I think you can split off into so many things. But you're right, we've got to have OTC against Vision Seth at some point, right?
Yeah.
And we still haven't gotten OTC and Punk one-on-one. And that is, you want to talk about a crowd that would be hot, is you still got to do that match at some point, one-on-one, because we haven't gotten it.
No.
And there's a decade plus of equity there. Because I think if you're listening to this show, everyone knows the subtext of things Punk has said in the past about Roman, and I'm pretty sure it's probably water under the bridge now with all those guys. At least I hope so.
Sure.
And I don't know if I've said this on this show, but man, I hope one day we get a nice backstage video of Seth and Punk hugging it out and being friends. I hope they have squashed the beef. Yeah. Don't know if they have, but I hope they have.
Well, you got a little bit of that in Unreal. We got a few scenes where they were, a group of them were collabing on how a match was going to go. And
yeah, I think they're definitely, I mean, they're both pros. Like they're handling business. But I hope they've come back around to being, they don't have to be friends, but like a respect, and they can say hi and give each other the bro hug. I don't know. That would just make me feel better.
No, I hear you.
But back on topic, that's what I want with Roman, is if he could stay involved with Jay and be kind of grooming him to be the next tribal chief-like character and see where that goes as Jay explores more of his inner chief. Yeah. But you do practically at some point have to do Roman Seth and Roman Punk, which I'd be really excited for.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I asked is because we still have so many things that I think are kind of put on the back burner for Crown Jewel because of the Seth versus Cody match for Crown Jewel, because we immediately need to get back to Punk and Seth, the fallout from WrestlePalooza, right? That's where that goes. Then we also got LA Knight, who should not be at this point finished with Jay. So, there's a Jay LA program that's there. There's a Seth Punk program that is there, right? But Jimmy will probably fall into the LA Knight Jey Uso storyline, which I agree with you, and I thought that was a great idea that you positioned, to have Roman be Big Uso. And, him being the devil on Jay's shoulder, and Jimmy trying to be the voice of reason. Maybe some interjection with Cody there too, because Cody is, Jay's homie too. And he's proven willing to kind of step in and check on Jay for Jimmy, because sometimes Jay ain't listening to his brother. And so, there are some angles that you can play here. And then particularly with you, if you have like Cody and Roman being a bit antagonistic towards one another because of the roles that they're playing on Jay's shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And not that you kind of lean into that per se, because, I mean, listen, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. So Roman has probably a freestanding pass to float onto whatever program he wants to. So you could do a program in the interim between Roman and Cody. I think that that's so big that if you did that, Roman's not going to be interacting as much with his cousins, A. And then B, if he does interact with his cousins while also interacting with Cody, you've just got both championships. Well, actually, no, you don't, because Rollins will be going back off to deal with Punk. That's actually not a bad idea. The only thing is the Usos, as it currently sits, including Jimmy, are both operating off of Raw. And so, well, but listen, dude, we don't have a hard and fast brand split anymore. So people just kind of go wherever they want. So that kind of allows this story, if you go that route, where Roman is the devil on Jay's shoulder, Cody is the angel on Jay's shoulder, along with Jimmy kind of being the person caught in the middle, who's probably going to catch the brunt of Jay's, vacillating between, good and evil. And it's going to be told through the matches between Jay and LA Knight. And then you can maybe have some antagonistic behavior between Roman and Cody, which can lead into a program with them. We're coming up on the end of the year. You know what I mean? So we got Survivor Series, and, the next big PLE will be the Rumble. And so it's probably about time to start putting some coals in the fire if you're going to start trying to heat something up for Roman, for the spring of 26. So I don't know. Maybe you do go a route like, dang, you really gonna do Cody versus Roman again? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think so. You just don't know you don't know what you're gonna do with Roman right now, though. Like, he's back,
but in a good way. We've laid out. You've got a lot of great ideas, and I didn't even mention in there that Roman Reigns Braun Breaker is also hotly anticipated by pretty much everyone that likes wrestling. So we still got that too.
That's true, and he is currently wrestling one half of Braun. So it would make sense that he would go maybe into a program with the other half. But the thing is, like, does he beat them both? Because, like, if one dude beats both of them,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll have to see. That it's really great in the year of our Lord 2025 to be able to sit here and say we don't know with confidence. Because there was a time
we don't know which of these good things we're going to get.
That's what I mean. Right? It's like there was a time when we didn't know what WWE was going to do next, and it did not have a positive connotation. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But now we're saying these things because there are just so many branches and so many good stories that they can tell that it's really awesome to watch. You just wish that the amount of time and energy that WWE creative puts into their larger storylines, that they could do something on the mid and the lower end of the card. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the whole show would just benefit if there weren't these lulls, because there wasn't a lot of investment in, anything else. But
I will say this, honestly, I thought from these two shows, the only thing that didn't catch my attention or that had me kind of tuning out was the aforementioned Michin and V Fab against Julia and Kiana James match. Oh, yeah? I think everything else had some good stuff for me. I mean, just run through it quick in my head. I like the Miz and Mello stuff and how that's developing. Seems like we're heading for face Carmelo that's going to springboard off the Miz. We talked about Sammy and Javon, good match, even though, Sammy must pose, go over at the end, which is fine. I'm not suggesting Javon Evans beat him.
Is the Blue Thunder Bomb becoming his new finisher? This is twice.
Hey, for a certain stature of opponent, I believe so. I believe that's where where you stand, is if you get beat by the Blue Thunder Bomb.
Very true.
We had the Americanos debut. What did they call them?
That was a miss for me. That was what?
Rayo and Bravo? Rayo
yes.
and Bravo.
That was a miss for me. And I'm somebody who was before was like, listen, The goofy stuff I'm down with. And it's not that I hated it, but I'm just kind of like, this is spreading in a way that I did not assume it was going to.
You want me to be real on why it didn't hit?
Go for it.
Because Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne are boring.
Well, this is true.
I mean, the only time they've had me is, and people wanted to hate it, Butch. Butch was the only time. In NXT, when Pete Dunne first debuted, I bought it because it was new.
Sure.
But then when all I can see you can do is bend fingers and scowl, I needed more. And then I got Butch, and he got a fun little hat, and that was it for me. Hey, Dragon Lee, the scale paint around his eyes, that did it for me.
Yeah.
Little touches like that can really go a long way. They seem like they're still invested in Dragon Lee. They just can't figure out a way to really give him that springboard. And we'll see. What else happened? Becky and Maxine backstage. I like that.
That was
Becky
fun.
punching Tozawa in the throat.
Yeah, that was
beating
fun.
down Maxine. I like Maxine. I think there's something there. So
I agree.
I'm always happy for giving her chances. We had Bailey still doesn't know what she's doing or what she's done, which is great. While none of it was like stuff I'm going to remember in years from now,
sure,
I still thought it was all pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe I'm just having a good week. Who knows?
You know what? No, now that you mention it, now that you lay it out like that, listen, I am not one that is above being convinced, and when you put it like that, yeah, okay, I did enjoy those things too. I did enjoy those things too. Listen, I always love when Raquel gets a win. I feel like they're doing a great job with Raquel, and I feel like they're positioning her to be a much bigger star for the company, and I think she deserves it. So
they're just waiting on this. It seems like everything's we've just got to buy time until Liv's ready to come back to pop all this off.
I just wish they never showed her at that press conference for Saudi Mania. I wish they never showed her there, because now I'm like, so she's clearly not ready to come back, I guess. But
and Bianca.
Neither one of them are cleared to come back.
No heavy lifting. They can walk on stage.
They can walk on stage and pose for a hostage video. They can do that. Go. But no, you know what? This is I don't disagree with you. There are plenty of things here to like this week. So, I am convinced. Look, this is what we do here at the Lariat Lounge. We give fair and honest commentary on the week of professional wrestling, because we are genuine wrestling fans. I had a notion in my head, and after talking with Skeens and hearing him say what he said, I have kind of changed my tune. It was not a bad week of wrestling. I never thought it was a bad week of wrestling. I was just kind of down on some things that I hadn't thought about until you went through them. But this is what we do for each other here in a community. And I'm hoping that when you listen to Skeens talk, when you listen to I talk, that we can do the same things for you when you tune in each week, that we can help lend some perspective and some different vantage points to the storylines that are playing out every week, Monday, Friday. And when the PLEs come around, you can watch them with us and we can get into the commentary there. When I'm not screwing the video up or the audio up or the stream up. But,
when I'm not posting like a robot on Instagram.
Right. When we're on, we're on. And when we're off, homie, we're off. But we're always here for you each week. This portion of what we do, the Lariat Lounge, this is going to be here and is going to catch you without fail each week. So
we're pretty good at this part. We haven't screwed this one up yet.
We've gotten this part down pat. So I think we're good here. So just keep coming here and tuning in and catching us each week, and we can talk about wrestling and we can hang out. Skeens, please let our friends know where they can catch us now that Instagram is our friend again.
We are allegedly going to be throwing more posts up. We'll see when this episode goes up and you're listening to it. Please check and see if there is an Instagram post up, because it will go up over at the Lariat Lounge podcast on Instagram. And hopefully things are cleared up there. You can send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com about any of your thoughts on the show or anything in the world of wrestling or anything in your life. We'd be happy to hear about. And as you know, we're coming at you once a week, at least every week, on all your favorite podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you like to get your podcasts. You'll be able to hop in the lounge with us.
And please let us know. Look, this is actually a really good opportunity for you to interact with the show. Send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com if for some reason that post is not up in a few hours. Like if there's a post that goes up and you see it there, or you tune in to go catch the poll and it's not there on Instagram, shoot us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com. Say, hey guys, that poll you were talking about, it's not there. Sometimes things get out of our purview, and that's a great way to help out the show. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time to send an email and just let us know so that we can get with Instagram. We can translate our AI bot language into regular English, and then they can understand and they can help us out.
I didn't know I spoke AI, but apparently I do.
Apparently you are fluent in AI, and which that is a skill for the future, sir, because AI is taking over everything. So
I'll negotiate when they try to enslave us. I'll be our
negotiator. All right, bet. So look, at least over here, this is why you need to come to the Larry's Lounge, because we have a negotiator that will speak to our AI overlords for us, and he's got law training as well. So we may stand a ghost of a chance. But please come back and check us out next week. We'll be talking about all things Raw, all things Smackdown. We'll be giving our thoughts as we always do. From your host, Everson Godfrey, your co-host, Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. Please watch yourself on the way out.